The twin suns of Zelverus Prime shone brightly over the city of Telmaver, capital of the Ilori civilization. The buildings, shaped like crystal towers, reflected light in rainbow colors. The Ilori people were tall, graceful, and elegant, with glowing eyes and smooth silver skin. They were proud of their knowledge, beauty, and long lives. But above all, they valued one thing more than anything else: fertility. Among them lived Lyrian, once considered one of the most beautiful females. Her silver hair shimmered like starlight, her eyes glowed like twin moons. She was intelligent, graceful, and kind. But her life changed when the elders discovered that she was infertile. Her body, for reasons unknown, could never carry new life. To the Ilari, this was not just a medical condition. It was seen as a failure of purpose. A female who could not continue the legacy of their ancient bloodline was not just unlucky, she was useless. The Council of Elders declared her voidborn, a name given only to those who could not bring life. Lyrian stood quietly as her fate was announced. Her family, once proud of her, now turned their backs. Her friends, once close, now looked at her with pity or discomfort. Even the city where she was born now felt like a prison. "You are hereby exiled to Kalmor, the moon of the broken machines," said Elder Valson. "There, you shall live in silence, until your days fade." Number 1 protested. No one spoke in her defense. Only the wind whispered through the high towers. Kaelmor was nothing like Zelverus Prime. It was a cold, quiet moon with cracked rocks and abandoned buildings. Once used as a center for technology research, it was now a graveyard of forgotten machines. Broken Ilari, drones, lay scattered in the dust. The air was thin but breathable. A weak energy shield kept the atmosphere stable. Only the unwanted were sent here. Lyrian was given a small shelter made of old steel and glass. There were no mirrors inside. She did not need to see her reflection to remember what she had lost. But even in sadness, Lyrian refused to fall. She spent her days exploring the broken labs, repairing small machines with her knowledge. She built a simple light garden from solar shards, and small flying drones to keep her company. She read from old data tablets and wrote her thoughts into the memory cores. "I may be alone," she said to herself, "but I will not disappear." Time passed, months, maybe years. The stars above Kaelmor never changed. Lyrian grew stronger, calmer, and wiser. She found peace and silence, but sometimes she still looked up at Zelverus Prime and wondered if anyone remembered her then. One day, the silence was broken. It began with a loud crash in the eastern sky. A fiery trail shot across the moon's thin atmosphere and slammed into the rocky plains. Dust rose high, and the ground shook. Lyrian rushed outside. Her scanners picked up signs of life weak but present. She followed the signal across the jagged hills until she found the crash site. A strange metallic shuttle, not of Ilari design, was lying broken in a crater. Its side was torn open, wires and smoke pouring out. Inside, she saw movement, a figure motionless, covered in blood and ash. Lyrian paused. Her people had spoken of humans from Earth, strange, short-lived beings with a talent for chaos. Many Ilari believed they were primitive, impulsive, and dangerous. But this human looked nothing like a threat. He was unconscious, his breathing weak, his skin was burned, and one arm was clearly broken. Lyrian hesitated. Her training told her to avoid unknown species. Her exile told her to remain hidden, but her heart told her to act. With care, she lifted the human onto her hover and brought him back to her shelter. She cleaned his wounds, stabilized his breathing, and used her healing beam to ease the burns. She did not know his name. She did not know why he was here, but something inside her, something she had thought long dead, was now awake. The human woke 2 days later. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking at the soft lights. His first words were a whisper. "Where am I?" "You are on Kalmor," Lyrian said gently, her voice soft and melodic. "You crashed. I found you." He turned his head and stared at her. Surprise filled his eyes. "You're not human." "No," she replied with a small smile, "and neither are you." He chuckled, then winced from the pain. "I'm Jonas Weller," he said. "Engineer, Earth Exploratory Fleet." "Lyrian," she said, offering her name. "Former Ilari citizen, now just me." Jonas looked around the room, then back at her. "Thank you. You saved my life." Lyrian nodded, unsure what to say. No one had thanked her in a long, long time. Over the next few days, Jonas recovered. Slowly, Lyrian shared food cubes and purified water with him. He asked questions about Kaelmor and the strange devices she had built. She was surprised to find him clever, curious, and kind. "Why are you here?" he asked one night. She paused, then answered honestly. My people banished me. I cannot give birth. To them, that makes me broken. Jonas frowned. That's insane. You're smart. Strong, you saved me. They don't see that. Only what is missing. He shook his head. Well, they're wrong. His words were simple, but they warmed something deep inside her. As the days turned into weeks, a fragile bond formed between them. Lyrian found comfort in his presence. Jonas, in turn, was fascinated by her knowledge and kindness. They fixed machines together, shared stories of Earth and Zelverists, and learned each other's ways. But above all, they began to heal. For the first time in years, Lyrian no longer felt empty. She began to hope again, not just for escape, but for meaning. Was still an exile, but now, she was not alone. The cold winds of Kalemore swept across the rocky plains, but inside the old shelter, it was warm. The light from the solar cells gave a soft glow to the walls. Small drones floated near the ceiling, humming quietly as they repaired wires and polished surfaces. Jonas Weller sat on a metallic bench, his arms still in a support brace. He watched as Lyrian adjusted the settings on a crystal-powered energy unit. Her movements were smooth and careful. She worked with calm focus, never rushing, never showing anger or fear. He had never met anyone like her. So, this used to be a research station? Jonas asked. Lyrian nodded. Long ago, before my people decided it was no longer useful. Now, it's just a place for exiles. Jonas looked around at the clean tools, repaired machines, and working energy lines. You've turned it into something better. Lyrian looked up, surprised. It's not much. It's more than what I had before you found me, he said with a smile. Lyrian lowered her eyes, not used to compliments. For a long time she had believed she was worthless. But now this human, this stranger looked at her like she mattered. Every day, Jonas grew stronger. His broken arm began to heal under the soft pulses of Lyrian's medical scanner. His burns faded, and his energy returned. But even more than his body, it was his heart that felt different. He had been alone in space for years, moving from one mission to another. Earth was far behind, and the galaxy felt cold. But here, in this forgotten place, he had found someone who listened, someone who cared. Lyrian, too, felt a change. She found herself talking more, smiling more. She shared stories of Zelverus, of the glowing gardens, the sky festivals, and the floating crystal lakes. Jonas told her about Earth, about green forests, rainy cities, and wild oceans. Sometimes they would sit outside and watch the stars together. The sky on Kalemore was always clear, filled with distant lights. Do you ever wish to go back? Jonas asked one night. Lyrian thought for a moment. Sometimes, but it would not be the same. My people still see me as broken. They're blind, Jonas said firmly. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. She smiled softly. You say that, but you don't understand what it means to be born. Maybe not, Jonas replied. But I know what it means to be alone, and I know how much you've done with so little. That's strength. They began working together on repairing the communication module from Jonas's crashed ship. The parts were damaged, and the power system was unstable. But with Lyrian's deep understanding of Ilari tech and Jonas's human engineering skills, progress came slowly but surely. We'll need to reroute the power lines through the crystal regulator, Jonas explained. Lyrian studied the schematic. If we combine it with the old Ilari harmonizer, it may boost the signal. Let's try it, Jonas said, grinning. Their hands moved quickly, tools passing between them. For hours, they worked side by side. Neither noticed how fast time passed. When they finally tested the module, the machine gave a small green light. We did it, Lyrian whispered. Let's hope it holds long enough to send a message. Jonas replied. They programmed a simple distress signal, sending coordinates and a short message. Human survivor and friendly alien found. Request rescue. Now, they could only wait. During the waiting days, Jonas spent more time understanding Ilari culture. He read old data tablets and asked questions. Why do your people care so much about fertility? He asked. Lyrian sighed. Our race is old. We were once nearly lost. Now, every child is considered sacred. A female who cannot create life is believed to bring misfortune. That's terrible, Jonas said. Life is more than reproduction. Not to them, she replied quietly. Then maybe your people need to learn what life really means. Lyrian looked at him. You speak boldly, Jonas. I'm just being honest. She didn't reply, but his words stayed with her. One evening, while they sat beside a small heat crystal outside, Lyrian looked up at the stars. I used to dream of being a scientist, she said. I wanted to travel to far planets and study strange life forms. What stopped you? Jonas asked. I was chosen for the fertility temple. she replied. Once I was declared voidborn, everything ended. Jonas stared at her, feeling both anger and sadness. You deserve a second chance, maybe, but where would I find it? With us, he said quietly, with humans. We don't judge people like that. You'd be welcome. Lyrian looked into his eyes. There was no pity there, only truth. Later that night, an alarm rang from the outer perimeter. Lyrian checked the scanner, and her expression darkened. What is it? Jonas asked, rushing to her side. Pirate ship, low orbit, they've come to scavenge. Jonas cursed under his breath. Can we hide? They'll scan the area. If they find the shelter, they'll take everything, including us. Lyrian ran to the storage room and opened a hidden compartment. Inside were old Ilari combat drones and armor pieces. I kept these for emergencies, she said. We must fight. Wait, fight? Jonas asked, surprised. Do you even know how? I was trained in the arts of defense before my exile, she replied calmly. The Ilari believe even those who birth must also protect. She tossed Jonas a small energy pistol. Stay close, aim true. Jonas took a deep breath and nodded. As the pirate scouts landed, Lyrian moved like a shadow, fast, silent, powerful. Her silver armor shimmered under the moonlight. With precise control, she activated 2 drones and sent them to distract the invaders. Jonas stayed by her side, firing carefully, covering their escape routes. The battle was short but intense. Lyrian took down 2 scouts with electric bursts, while Jonas disabled a drone with a plasma bolt. The pirates, realizing this moon wasn't empty or easy, retreated. They had won. After the fight, they sat together, breathing heavily. You were incredible, Jonas said. Lyrian looked at her hands. I had forgotten what it felt like to stand and fight. Well, you just saved both of us. She smiled slightly. So did you. There was a new feeling between them now, a sense of trust, of strength, and perhaps something deeper. That night, before sleep, Lyrian looked out at the stars and whispered to herself, I may have lost one life, but perhaps another is just beginning. The morning light on Kalamor was always soft. A pale glow filtered through the dust-filled sky, turning the rocks golden for a few quiet hours. Jonas stood outside the shelter, breathing in the cool air. He looked toward the crater where his ship had crashed, now silent and half buried in rubble. Behind him, Lyrian stepped out, wearing a white coat stitched from salvaged fabric. Her silver hair was tied back, and a scanning device hung at her side. Still thinking about the signal, she asked. Jonas nodded. It's been days. I thought someone would have picked it up by now. They might have, she said gently. But space is wide. And Earth ships are rare in this sector, he sighed. Yeah, I just don't want to leave you here, Lyrian smiled faintly. You might not have a choice. Jonas turned to her. I don't want to leave you at all. The words hung between them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Lyrian turned her gaze to the distant hills. Come, she said softly. There's something I want to show you. They walked past the cracked plains and into the shadow of an old mountain ridge. Lyrian led Jonas to a place covered in vines of metallic roots, remains of an old power station. Deep inside, she opened a sealed door and revealed a large, glowing chamber. What is this place? Jonas asked, amazed. It was once called the Heart of Kalmor, Lyrian explained. A prototype energy core. It still works. Barely. Inside the chamber stood a glowing sphere, floating gently above the ground. It pulsed with slow, steady energy. All around it, broken consoles and dusty wires told the story of forgotten science. I discovered it last cycle, she said. I kept it secret, afraid others might try to use it wrongly. But maybe now, it can help us. Jonas approached the core and studied it carefully. This much power, he murmured. We could boost the signal range tenfold. Maybe even send a live message. Lyrian nodded. That's what I hoped. They worked together all day, repairing the uplink systems and connecting the damaged relay from Jonas's shuttle to the main core. It was delicate work. Wires had to be aligned, voltage balanced, harmonics tuned. As they worked, they laughed, teased, and shared small stories. Jonas told her about his first ship job, where he had accidentally caused a food printer to explode. Lyrian told him how she once built a music device from scraps just to make the moon feel less empty. By nightfall, the transmitter was ready. Jonas checked the panel one last time. You sure about this? He asked. Lyrian gave a small nod. We must try. He pressed the activation key. The signal flared through space, strong, clear, and full of hope. Then they waited. 3 nights passed. They repaired more systems, trained the drones to defend the shelter, and built a small wind barrier to protect from sandstorms. Lyrian noticed that something had changed in her. For years, She had accepted the label of Voidborn. She had believed she had no future, no worth beyond what her people had denied her. But now, working beside Jonas, laughing with him, surviving attacks, dreaming of more, she felt alive again. She watched him as he checked satellite readings and tuned their sensors. His short human hair was messy. His clothes were torn from work and dust. But to her he had become something more than just a guest, more than just a saved stranger. He had become home. On the fourth morning, a new light blinked on the comm panel. Jonas rushed to it. "Lyrian, we've got a response." She joined him, her eyes wide. The message came in a human voice, to the survivor on Kale. "This is Captain Rainer Holt of the explorer vessel Unity Dawn. We received your signal. Help is coming. ETA 3 days. Hold your position." Jonas let out a deep breath and leaned back. "They're coming." Lyrian smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Jonas saw it. "What is it?" She hesitated, then said, "What happens when they arrive?" He looked confused. "We leave. Together." Lyrian looked away. "You will leave, but I don't belong in your world. I am Alari. I am still exiled. And to humans, I am strange." Jonas moved closer, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You're not strange. You're brilliant, kind, and stronger than anyone I've met. You saved me, Lyrian, and I'm not leaving without you." Her eyes searched his face. There was no lie, no hesitation, only truth. "But Earth, they may not accept me," she whispered. "Then we'll go somewhere else. Anywhere you want. There are dozens of colonies, mixed species, communities, peaceful outposts. We'll find a place that accepts us both." Lyrian felt her chest tighten. For the first time in years, someone had spoken of a future that included her. "No, if I can start again," she said. "You already have," Jonas said, smiling. "Right here." The days passed quickly. Together they prepared a landing beacon for Unity Dawn and cleaned up the shelter. Jonas even shaved and found an old coat that still fit. Lyrian repaired her translator unit and encoded her data logs for possible sharing with Earth's science teams. But more than that, they simply spent time together, walking, talking, laughing under the stars. And when a dust storm came, they watched it pass from inside, hands resting side by side. One night Jonas asked her, "If you could change your past, would you?" Lyrian thought carefully. "No," she said. "If I had not been exiled, I would never have met you." Jonas smiled. "I'm glad you didn't miss the crash." They both laughed. On the morning of the third day, they saw a bright silver line cutting across the sky. The Unity Dawn was descending. Lyrian stood at the ridge, wind brushing through her hair. Jonas stood beside her, holding her hand tightly. "It's time," he said. She looked at him. "Do you really want this? A life with someone who stopped," he said gently. "I don't care about what your people believed. I care about who you are now." She took a deep breath, and for the first time in years, she felt no fear. Together, they watched as the human ship landed with a graceful hum. The future had arrived. But this time, Lyrian was not facing it alone. The Unity Dawn hovered above the dusty ground of Kalemore like a silent guardian. Its polished surface gleamed under the planet's pale sun. Heat waves danced in the air around its landing gear. A ramp extended with a soft hiss, and from inside, 3 figures in dark blue uniforms stepped out. Jonas and Lyrian stood near the signal beacon they had set up days earlier. Jonas gave her hand a final squeeze. "Ready?" he asked. Lyrian gave a slow nod. Her heart beat fast, but her face stayed calm. As the rescue team approached, Jonas stepped forward and raised a hand. Jonas Weller, pilot of the Dawnfinder ship, downed 12 days ago, injured but stable. The leading officer, a tall woman with dark brown skin and a firm voice, gave a nod. "Captain Rainer Holt, we got your signal. You've been off the grid longer than anyone expected." Then her eyes shifted to Lyrian. "And who is this?" Jonas turned to Lyrian, gently guiding her forward. "This is Lyrian. She saved my life. She's at Lari." There was a short pause. "I see," said Captain Holt, keeping her voice neutral. "Is she safe to bring aboard?" "She's not only safe," Jonas said clearly. "She's the reason I'm alive." Captain Holt looked at Lyrian, studying her for a moment. Lyrian stood tall, calm, and graceful. "We have protocols," Holt said, "but we also make exceptions. You'll both be allowed on board, but we'll need to scan her and record all interactions for now." "I understand," Lyrian replied softly. Captain Holt gave a nod. "Welcome aboard." Then, as the ramp rose behind them, Lyrian took her first steps inside a human starship. The air smelled different, clean, metallic, and full of recycled oxygen. The walls were lined with soft lights and digital panels. Crew members glanced up as Jonas and Lyrian passed, some curious, some surprised. Jonas stayed close to her side, speaking quietly. Don't worry. They're just not used to seeing. Ilari, you're the first one most of them have ever met. I can feel their eyes, Lyrian whispered. They'll get used to you, I promise. They were led to the medical bay, where Lyrian underwent a non-invasive scan. The medic, a kind-eyed man named Dr. Elwyn, was gentle and respectful. She's clean, he confirmed. No infections, no dangerous implants, no threats. Captain Holt seemed satisfied. Very well. Assign her temporary guest quarters near Jonas. Keep watch, but no restrictions unless we see trouble. Jonas smiled at Lyrian. That's a good sign, but Lyrian was quiet. As the doors to her room closed behind her, she sat down on the edge of the soft human bed and looked around. Everything was different. The walls were smooth, the air was warm. A small screen offered entertainment and communication, but something felt distant. Foreign, she had lived in exile for so long that comfort now felt unfamiliar. The next day, Jonas invited her to the observation deck. Huge glass windows opened to the stars. Lyrian stood there for a long time, speechless. The stars seemed closer, more alive. Ships blinked in and out of sight. A blue gas giant rotated slowly in the distance. It's beautiful, she said softly. Jonas stood beside her. You'll see many more if you stay with us. Do you really believe I can belong here? He nodded. I know you can. They sat together, speaking of dreams. Jonas told her of a colony on the edge of human space, a place called Eden's Reach, where humans and aliens lived together in peace. No old laws, no harsh judgments. Just a chance to begin again. I want to go there, Lyrian whispered. With you. But not everyone on the ship felt the same. Later that day, as Jonas walked down the hallway, two crew members whispered behind him. Is that her? The alien? Yeah. Heard she's not even able to, avoid born. Jonas stopped and turned to face them. She saved my life, he said clearly. She's more human than half of you. The crew members fell silent, embarrassed, but the words stung. When Jonas told Lyrian what had happened, she only gave a soft nod. I am used to this, he said. You shouldn't have to be, Jonas replied. That night he sent a request to Captain Holt. The next morning, Holt called Lyrian and Jonas to her office. I've reviewed your request, she said. You're asking for official sponsorship, Jonas. I am. I want Lyrian to be allowed to travel freely, to have rights, to be protected under human law. You know the risks, Holt said. Many governments still don't trust Isla. There are old wounds. And she's not registered in any galactic system. She's a living, intelligent being, Jonas said firmly. That should be enough. Captain Holt looked at Lyrian. Why do you want to live among us? He asked. Lyrian paused. Because I believe I have more to give. My people left me behind, but I have knowledge, skills, and hope, and I've found someone who sees me. That is rare. I want to build something with him. Holt sat silently for a moment. Then she pressed a button. Application approved. You'll need to pass one more check at the next station, but I'll support you. Jonas and Lyrian looked at each other, smiling. 3 days later, the Unity Dawn reached a human trade station called Halcyon Point, a large silver hub in deep space, filled with ships, traders, travelers, and voices from many worlds. As they stepped onto the station, Lyrian stared at the lights and people. No one knew her here, no one called her Voidborn. She was just Lyrian. They visited the cultural wing, where alien languages, food, and music were shared. Lyrian tasted human fruit juice for the first time, and laughed. Jonas watched her, happy just to see her free. Later, they met an immigration officer who took her record, scanned her DNA, and issued a temporary citizen's chip. Welcome to the United Earth Coalition, the officer said kindly. Live well. Lyrian held the chip in her hand. A small thing, but it felt like a key to a door she had never thought would open. That night, they booked a passage to Eden's Reach. Jonas turned to her in the quiet of the ship cabin. We're really going, he said. Yes, Lyrian replied, taking his hand. Together, she looked out at the stars. I may never become what my people expected, she said, but with you, I can become something more. Jonas nodded. You already have, and with that, their ship turned its nose toward a new sunrise. The stars outside the transport ship shimmered like tiny suns, each one distant but full of promise. As the vessel approached Eden's Reach, a large green-blue planet appeared in the window, glowing softly in the dark of space. Jonas and Lyrian stood side by side, staring at it. There it is, Jonas said quietly. A new beginning. Lyrian's silver eyes reflected the beauty of the world below. It's more beautiful than I imagined. Eden's Reach was a peaceful colony located far from the war-torn central systems. It was home to humans, Ilari exiles, Terek engineers, and many others. The colony believed in rebuilding not just buildings, but lives. As their ship descended, forests and rivers came into view. Wind turbines turned slowly across grassy hills. A large settlement lay in the valley, its buildings white and rounded, shining under the light of 2 small moons. At the landing port, a friendly officer greeted them. "Welcome to Eden's Reach. Names, please." "Jonas Weller," Jonas said. "Lyrian of Kaelmore," she added softly. The officer checked their records. "Ah yes, human citizen and registered Ilari guest. You've been approved for settlement. Housing and work options are available." Lyrian looked at Jonas with a hopeful smile. This place was real. It wasn't just a dream or a promise, it was happening. The next few days passed quickly. They were assigned a small home near the southern district, close to the forest. It had smooth white walls, solar panels, and a large window that opened to a view of the hills. There was a garden area and a kitchen built for mixed species use. Jonas spent the mornings helping with ship repairs in the colony's hangar. Skills as a pilot and mechanic were welcomed. Lyrian, on the other hand, found herself drawn to the learning hall where scholars and thinkers from many races shared knowledge. She was invited to speak about Kaelmore and her research on ancient energy systems. "You studied alone for all those years?" a human scientist asked her. "Yes," she replied. "I wanted to prove that even those cast-outs can still create." "You've done more than that," the scientist said. "You've inspired us." Lyrian felt something warm inside her. It wasn't praise she had been seeking, it was acceptance. One evening, Jonas returned home with 2 cups of warm fruit tea. He found Lyrian sitting near the window, sketching the stars with a digital pen. He handed her a cup. "You've been busy." She smiled. "They asked me to teach a class." "You're amazing," he said. She looked at him. "You believed in me before I believed in myself." He leaned closer. "That's because I saw the truth. You were never broken." Despite the peace, small challenges remained. A few settlers were unsure about living beside former exiles like Lyrian. Some whispered that the colony should have stricter laws. One day at the marketplace, a Terek trader stared at Lyrian and muttered. Voidborn. Lyrian's expression didn't change. She simply turned and walked away. Later Jonas heard about it and was angry. "Why didn't you say something?" She looked at him calmly. "Because I don't need to prove myself anymore. Their words have no weight now." Jonas understood then how much she had grown. Weeks turned into months. Their home filled with laughter, books, plants, and quiet joy. They fixed the garden, built shelves, and even added a wind chime made from crashed ship metal. It sang softly when the wind blew. One afternoon, as they were walking through a field of bright red flowers, Jonas turned to her. "I've been thinking," he said. She asked, "About staying, not just for now, for always?" Lyrian stopped and faced him. "I've found peace here," she said. "For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm running." Jonas reached into his coat and pulled out a small banda, simple silver ring. "This isn't from Earth tradition," he said, "and maybe it's not from any Ilari custom either, but I made it for you. Not because I want to claim you, but because I want to walk beside you." Lyrian stared at the ring. Then she took his hand. "I will walk beside you," she said. "For as long as you'll have me," he smiled. "Forever then," she smiled back. "Forever." Their bonding was held in the central dome of Eden's Reach. Humans, Ilari, and others came together to witness it. There were no grand rituals, just words spoken, hands joined, and promises made beneath the soft light of the sky. Captain Holt, who had traveled from the Unity Dawn to attend, placed a small hollow crystal in Jonas's hand. "A gift," she said. "Official recognition of your union. Both of you are now registered citizens of Eden's Reach." Jonas looked at her with surprise. "Even Lyrian?" "Yes," Holt smiled. The council agreed. Her work and conduct have spoken louder than her history. Lyrian felt tears touch her cheeks, not from sadness but from something she had never felt before. Belonging. Seasons passed. Jonas and Lyrian built a life of peace and purpose. They mentored young settlers, shared stories of survival, and encouraged others to see value in differences. One spring morning, as the sky turned golden, Lyrian stood outside their home and listened to the wind chime. She felt the life inside her, not a child, for she was still infertile, but the life of hope, love, and freedom she had created with Jonas. Jonas stepped beside her and placed an arm around her shoulder. "Do you still think about your past?" he asked. "Sometimes," she said, "but it no longer hurts. I was rejected, but not destroyed. I was cast out, but I found my place." He nodded. "You're not just part of my life, Lyrian. You are my life." She turned to him and smiled, and together they watched the sun rise to souls, once lost, now found in each other. The end.